Welcome to Zoe Stories. Mom busted me and took over my makeover. The moment I heard the door slam, my heart nearly jumped out of my chest. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I had checked Emma's schedule twice before letting myself slip into this world again. She was supposed to be at work for at least another 4 hours. That was the unspoken rule of my secret life. Only when I was completely alone, only when there was absolutely no chance of being caught.
But now?
Now, I stood frozen in front of my bedroom mirror, fully dressed in Emma's pale pink satin camisole and matching lace-trimmed shorts. Stockings wrapped my legs in a soft, sheer embrace, and my feet wobbled slightly in her beige high heels. The light scent of Emma's floral perfume clung to my skin. I had even done my makeup, foundation, contour, a soft pink blush, and a glossy lipstick that made my lips look full and feminine. For a few beautiful, fleeting minutes, I had felt like her. Jasmine. The person I became in secret. The person I could never be outside this room. And now, with one unexpected sound, it was all about to come crashing down. By day, I was Jason, an average guy. I had a steady job at a marketing firm, where I blended in like everyone else, wearing dull office attire and keeping my head down. I wasn't particularly special. I wasn't the guy who stood out in meetings, and I wasn't the life of any party. But I was dependable, safe, predictable. And Emma loved that about me. She was my opposite. Bold, ambitious, and effortlessly charming. People were drawn to her the way they were drawn to bright lights. She was the kind of woman who made decisions quickly, who took control of situations, who never second-guessed herself. And then there was this part of me. The part one had never told her about. The part that, even after years of being together, still remained hidden in the shadows. At first, I had convinced myself that I could stop, that it was just a phase, that the thrill of slipping into a dress, of feeling makeup smooth against my skin, of walking carefully in heels, it would all fade with time. But it never did. It only grew stronger. Whenever Emma was away, Jasmine came to life. Not in some reckless, thoughtless way. I was always careful, always precise. I planned my transformations meticulously, making sure that not a single trace remained before she returned. Until today. I had to move fast. My hands shook as I reached for the makeup wipes on my dresser. My lipstick, damn. It had stained my lips. The more I wiped, the more it smeared, turning into a messy pink blur. My eyeliner was smudged now, leaving dark streaks beneath my eyes. I yanked the camisole over my head, tossing it behind me, but the stockings, why were they so tight? My fingers fumbled as I tried to unclip them. Every wasted second felt like another step closer to disaster. Footsteps. I froze.
No.
No, no, no. Emma was in the hallway. Her steps were slow, deliberate. She wasn't just passing by, she was headed straight for the bedroom. I grabbed the nearest hoodie, a baggy black one, and pulled it over my head, my heart hammering. But I still looked wrong, too feminine, too exposed. My lips were still glossy, my nails still painted with the subtle coat of polish I had tried on just for fun. The doorknob turned. I couldn't breathe. Emma stepped inside. She stopped. The silence between us stretched unbearably long. I didn't dare to look at her directly. I kept my gaze down, my hands curled into fists at my sides, as if I could somehow will this moment into never happening. But I could feel her eyes on me. I could feel her taking in everything. The way I stood awkwardly in a hoodie that barely covered my lacy shorts. The smudges of mascara around my eyes. The glossy sheen of lipstick that hadn't completely wiped away. I braced myself. For shouting. For anger. For the inevitable questions. But then, something happened that I didn't expect. Emma smiled. A slow, knowing smile. Well, she said, her voice disturbingly calm. I guess we need to talk. I felt my stomach drop. This wasn't the reaction I had prepared for. She wasn't yelling. She wasn't storming out. She looked amused. As if she had been waiting for this moment. As if she already knew. A cold sweat broke out across my skin. Had she always known? Had I slipped up before? Left a trace? Had she noticed a missing lipstick, a stretched-out blouse, a faint scent of perfume on my skin that shouldn't have been there? Or worse, had she suspected all along and just waited for me to slip up? My mind raced through every possible scenario, but none of them made sense. I swallowed hard. My voice cracked. I can explain. Emma raised an eyebrow. Can you? She took a step forward. I took a step back, bumping against the dresser. My perfume bottle wobbled dangerously before settling again. My legs felt weak. She was in control now. This wasn't just me getting caught. This was her catching me. And suddenly, I wasn't sure what scared me more, Emma knowing my secret, or whatever she was going to do with that knowledge. Emma tilted her head slightly, studying me like I was some sort of puzzle she had just figured out. Then, without warning, she reached forward. I flinched, but she only brushed a thumb across my cheek, wiping away a smudge of mascara. "You've been practicing," she murmured. "That's impressive." My heart nearly stopped. What did that mean? Did she accept this? Did she like it? Or was she just playing with me, letting me squirm before deciding my fate? I had no idea. All I knew was that my life was about to change. The silence stretched for what felt like an eternity. Emma stood just a few steps away from me, her gaze locked on my trembling form. Her eyes, green as emeralds, studied me carefully. Too carefully. I could almost hear her thoughts, weighing, measuring, calculating. The calmness in her voice sent an icy shiver down my spine. It was too calm, too controlled, like she was watching a performance she knew all too well. I had always feared this moment. I had lived in constant dread of getting caught, of having my secret ripped away, exposing the parts of me I had hidden from everyone, including her. I wasn't prepared for the worst-case scenario because, in my mind, I always believed that day would never come. But now it was here. "I'm not mad," Emma said finally, breaking the silence, but her words didn't comfort me. They only made the air feel denser, heavier. She paused, taking a step closer. "I guess I'm surprised." The admission hit me like a ton of bricks. Surprised? Was that all she felt? Surprised? I wanted to say something, to explain myself, to make this moment disappear, but the words caught in my throat. What could I possibly say? How could I justify dressing in her clothes, wearing her makeup, becoming someone else entirely when I was supposed to be the man she trusted? "Do you like it?" she asked, her voice softer this time. The question was so direct. I could see the curiosity in her eyes. It threw me off guard. The wheels were turning in her head. And I couldn't help but wonder what conclusions she was drawing. Did I tell her the truth and admit that, yes, when I was Jasmine, would she accuse me of lying to her in a way I never did as Jason? Even years? I felt beautiful. Was she just accepting it for what it was? Free from the chains of my normal life that she hadn't fully understood? But how could I say that to her? Emma began, I stammered, her voice dropping to a whisper. Nothing more came out. I need to see it for myself. I was drowning in this ocean of fear and confusion. Not just the clothes, Jason. Emma tilted her head. I need to see her, Jasmine. A small, knowing smile tugging at the corner of her lips. I didn't know what she meant. It's okay, Jason. Was she trying to explain herself? Was this some kind of twisted curiosity on her part? She moved closer, or worse, closing the distance between us. Was she secretly enjoying the power she now had over me? Before I could react, Emma stepped forward again, this time with more purpose. "I want to see you like this," she said, her tone still soft but firm. "Completely. I want to know everything." As Emma's words sank in, a rush of conflicting emotions flooded my mind. On one hand, I felt a surge of excitement, the kind of excitement I hadn't allowed myself to feel in a long time. The thought of her seeing me in this light, of her understanding, it thrilled me in ways I couldn't fully explain. But the other hand, the logical, terrified part of me, wanted to run, to hide, to change back into my male clothes and pretend none of this ever happened. What if Emma judged me? What if she couldn't see past the weird part of me? What if this was the end of us? My heart raced as she motioned for me to sit down on the bed. "Sit," she instructed gently, but there was no room for argument in her voice. I obeyed, my mind spinning with 1,000 thoughts. She leaned down to look into the drawers of my dresser, pulling out the makeup bags I had so carefully organized. "You've got quite the collection, Jason. How long has this been going on?" I wanted to tell her everything, every detail of my secret life, of the way Jasmine was born from a place of need, of escape. I wanted to explain that when I wore these clothes, I didn't feel ashamed. I felt like I could breathe. I wasn't the anxious, ordinary guy everyone expected me to be. I was Jasmine, someone free from the confines of masculinity and all the weight it brought. But the words were stuck. They couldn't leave my mouth. They weren't safe yet. "Don't worry," Emma said, seemingly reading my thoughts. "I'm not going to tell anyone. This is between you and me, okay?" I nodded, but the knot in my stomach only tightened. "Okay," she repeated, her voice still calm. "Then I want to see her. I want to see how you become Jasmine." I didn't know what to do. I had never prepared for this. But now that Emma was asking, I couldn't help but feel like I was on the precipice of something new. Something terrifying. Something thrilling. She picked up my lipstick and held it in front of me, turning it over in her hands. "I want you to finish. Don't hold back. I want to see you completely as Jasmine. I need to understand this." I could feel the weight of her gaze on me as I slowly picked up the lipstick. My hands trembled as I uncapped it, the familiar scent of vanilla filling my senses. As I applied the lipstick to my lips, I felt the usual rush of excitement, the feeling that Jasmine was coming alive again. But this time it was different. There was no privacy, no secrecy. This wasn't just me in my own room, lost in the moment. Emma was watching me, and I couldn't help but wonder what she was thinking. Was she seeing me for who I truly was? Or was she just playing along? I looked up at her, expecting judgment, but all I saw was curiosity. Her eyes softened, but there was an intensity there that made my heart race. She wasn't pushing me away. She wasn't repelled. In fact, she was interested. "Your lips are beautiful like that," she commented. "It's almost like you were meant to wear this." I froze at her words. Meant to wear this. It felt like she was accepting me, accepting Jasmine, but I wasn't sure how to respond. "Keep going," she encouraged, as though sensing my hesitation. "I want to see the whole transformation. I want to understand it." Her voice was softer now, almost coaxing. And for a moment I was tempted to let go of my fears and embrace this new side of me fully, without shame. It felt like a release. It felt like acceptance. But the question lingered. What was Emma truly thinking? Would she be okay with this side of me? Or would it all blow up in my face once she'd had her fill? I finished the lipstick, slowly standing up. My hands shook as I reached for the wig, placing it carefully on my head. The soft strands cascaded down my shoulders, a perfect match for the outfit. As I looked at myself in the mirror, the reflection staring back at me was Jasmine, not Jason, not the man I was every day, but someone else entirely. Someone who felt beautiful, confident, whole. For a moment, I let myself sink into the feeling of finally being seen. But even as I stood there, basking in the transformation, the reality of the situation hit me. Emma was still watching, studying me, her gaze filled with something that was neither entirely judgmental nor fully approving. I couldn't shake the fear that she might change her mind, that at any moment, the calm mask she wore would crack, and everything I feared would come true. Then, just as I thought things might settle into a new kind of normal, the doorbell rang. The sound of the doorbell echoed through the apartment, a sharp, jarring noise that cut through the air, shattering the fragile calm between Emma and me. I froze. The transformation I had worked so hard to complete now felt like a fragile mask about to crack. Emma's head snapped toward the door, her expression unreadable. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest as I glanced between her and the door. She turned back to me, her gaze soft but intense, as if she were searching for something, answers, perhaps, or a sign of my reaction. "Who's that?" she asked, her voice steady, though I could sense the undercurrent of curiosity and tension. I swallowed hard, unable to speak at first. My mind raced, calculating the possibilities. Who could be at the door? My heart skipped a beat when I realized that, in this moment, it didn't matter who was there. What mattered was what I was wearing, what I had become, and how exposed I was now. It wasn't like I could simply answer the door looking like this. The thought of facing anyone outside while fully dressed as Jasmine was terrifying. But then there was Emma, standing there, watching me, expecting something, as if she were waiting for me to take charge, to make the right decision. What was the right decision? Should I hide? Should I change back into my normal clothes? But before I could make a move, Emma stepped forward, her face thoughtful. It's probably just the neighbors or a delivery, but my voice trailed off. But her tone was uncertain. I couldn't even finish the sentence. I could see she wasn't too overwhelmed by the panic. Her curiosity was clearly piqued. Emma looked at me with an odd mixture of concern and without understanding more. It's okay, I stood still, stepping toward me. I'm not going to judge you, Jason. And let's just take it one step at a time. Every nerve in my body on high alert. Though my secret was on the verge of being exposed, I couldn't keep up with the pace anything to stop it. First, there was no turning back. I was secretly transforming in my room. The clock was ticking. Now Emma was standing in front of me, waiting for me to make a decision, in ways I waiting for me to face whatever was coming. I made my way toward the door, but my hands were shaking as I reached for the handle. As I slowly pulled it open, I saw a woman standing there, someone I didn't recognize at first. She was tall, blonde, and had an air of confidence that seemed to fill the room before she even spoke. "Hello," she said with a bright smile. "I'm here to drop off a package for Jason." I froze. Jason? She knew who I was. She was addressing me, but Jasmine was standing in front of her. This wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't the world I knew, the one where I was able to hide behind the safety of anonymity. Before I could respond, Emma spoke up behind me. "This is Jasmine," she said softly. "Jason's friend." The stranger's eyes widened slightly as she took in the scene. The recognition was immediate.
"Oh."
"I didn't realize, sorry for the confusion," she said, stepping forward awkwardly with a box in her hands. She handed it over to me, and I barely managed to take it from her. My fingers felt clumsy, like I was someone else entirely. "Thank you," I muttered, my voice sounding foreign to me. I was Jasmine now, but even the way I spoke felt like a mask. I felt exposed, vulnerable, as if every part of me, every inch of this transformation, was being scrutinized, judged. The woman looked at Emma, then back at me, her gaze lingering for a moment longer than I was comfortable with. "Well, I'll be on my way. Sorry again for the mix-up," she said with a polite smile before quickly retreating down the hallway. The door clicked shut behind her, but the tension in the room only grew. I stood there, the box in my hands now feeling like a 1,000-pound weight. Emma, meanwhile, seemed unfazed, but the silence between us was deafening. "Are you okay?" she asked quietly, her voice a contrast to the storm of emotions I was feeling. I nodded, though I wasn't sure if I meant it. I wasn't sure about anything anymore. The interaction with a stranger, so casual, so public, had made my fears feel all too real. It wasn't just the makeup or the clothes. It was the reality of being seen for who I truly was. There was no going back now. This was me. I wanted to hide. I wanted to run. But I couldn't. The door was closed, the package in my hands a stark reminder of how exposed I had become. Emma wasn't just watching me anymore. She was analyzing me, scrutinizing every move I made. "I need to understand this, Jason," she said again, her voice gentle but firm. "It's not just about the clothes or the makeup.
It's about you.
Who you are when you're like this." My chest tightened at her words. I didn't know how to explain it to her, how to tell her what Jasmine meant to me, what this transformation did for my soul. How could I tell her that when I was Jasmine, I felt like I was finally me, even if that me was hidden in the shadow of my secret? I don't know what to say," I whispered, my voice cracking. "It's not just about the clothes. It's about who I am when I'm her. When I'm Jasmine, I feel like I can be real. I feel like I'm not hiding from anyone, not even myself." Emma stood there, her eyes softening as she took in my words. "So, Jasmine is who you are when you feel free?" she asked gently. I nodded.
"Yes."
"I feel alive when I'm her." There was a long pause. I watched as Emma seemed to process my words. Then, with a soft sigh, she stepped closer and took my hand in hers. "Then let's take the next step together, okay?" she said quietly. "Let's face this. Face everything together." And just like that, I realized that the most terrifying thing of all wasn't the risk of being caught. It was the realization that Emma didn't see me as a liar, a freak, or someone who was pretending. She saw me for who I truly was. Underscore 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 underscore. The twist, Emma's decision. But just when I thought I had come to a place of understanding, Emma made a startling revelation. "I think I need to see more," she said, her voice not just filled with curiosity, but something else. A shift in her tone. "I think I need to understand more about her." She took a step back, studying me again, her gaze now taking in every detail, the dress, the makeup, the confidence I had struggled so hard to create. She didn't just want to understand. She was intrigued by it, drawn to it. "You don't just wear this for yourself, do you?" Emma asked, her voice low and thoughtful. "You wear it because you want me to see you. You want me to understand you as Jasmine, don't you?" Her words struck me like a punch to the gut. She wasn't just accepting it. She was becoming a part of it. And just like that, the moment shifted again. I had no idea where it was going, what Emma's real intentions were, or what the future held. I stood there, trembling with the realization that everything I thought I knew was about to change. Was I ready for this? Was I ready to face the truth of who I was, with Emma, who now seemed to be growing closer to Jasmine than Jason, by my side? The air in the room thickened, the weight of our conversation pulling us both into unknown territory. And just as I thought I understood where this was headed, Emma looked me square in the eyes and said, "I need to know more. But you're not getting away with hiding anymore. Not ever again." And with those words, I knew my life would never be the same. The room felt heavier now. The weight of Emma's words lingered in the air like a storm that hadn't yet broken. I had no idea where things were going, but I could sense the tension building with each passing second. The way she looked at me, at Jasmine, was different. There was a new layer of curiosity, of involvement, as if she was no longer just an observer, but a participant in this world I had been hiding from her. "I can't just let this go, Jason," Emma said, her voice quieter now but still firm. "If you're going to be Jasmine with me, I need to understand. I need to know the truth." Her words hung in the air, making everything feel even more fragile. My heart was pounding, each beat matching the growing anxiety in my chest. I had always stretched between us like a chasm. The moment when the mask would come off, filled with and the truth would finally be exposed, with a tension that I couldn't seem to shake. This was something different. My breath wasn't just worried about being caught, and I realized that no matter how Emma would react, nothing would be the same again. Now that she knew the truth. I was standing at the edge of something new. I don't know how to explain it. Something terrifying and thrilling. My voice barely, and I wasn't sure if I was ready to fall. "This is just who I am. Are you going to leave me, Emma? Jasmine is a part of me." I finally asked, she always my voice trembling. I don't want to hide anymore. The words felt like they had been stuck in my throat. Emma took a step toward me, begging to be said, her eyes softening. My worst fear was that she would walk away, unsettling look in them. She couldn't accept me as I was. She was processing everything I had just said. Emma's eyes softened together my question, who I was, who we were now. And she stepped closer. I could see her mind working through the confusion, the surprise, and the understanding. "I'm not going anywhere," she whispered. But there was still one question lingering in her gaze. "I need you to be honest with me. Really honest. About everything." Her touch was warm, comforting even, but I could feel the weight of her words sink into my chest. She wasn't asking for me to explain the surface details anymore. She wanted to know the deep, raw truth. And I was afraid of what that truth might be. Would it tear us apart? Or would it pull us closer together? Before I could respond, a knock on the door broke the silence. I froze. My blood ran cold, and I felt my heart skip a beat. Who could it be? The timing couldn't have been worse. My mind raced. Was this a test? Was the universe throwing one more obstacle my way to see how far I'd go, how much I was willing to risk? Emma shot me a questioning look, but I couldn't answer. My thoughts were a jumble of fear and uncertainty. The knock echoed again, louder this time, more insistent. Whoever it was wasn't going to go away. I felt trapped. Should I open the door? Should I hide? What if it was someone who knew me as Jason? What if they saw me as Jasmine and everything was exposed? Are you expecting anyone? Emma asked, her voice tense now, mirroring the sudden anxiety I felt creeping up my spine. No, I managed to say, my throat dry. Emma glanced at the door and then back at me. Do you want me to answer it? I could barely think straight, but I nodded. Please, if it's anyone, just don't let them see me like this. She gave me a nod of understanding, though there was a glimmer of curiosity in her eyes. Then, without another word, she moved to the door, her hand on the handle. She opened it just a crack, enough to see who was standing on the other side. I couldn't see the visitor, but from the sudden tension in Emma's posture, I knew something was off. She didn't speak immediately, which only made my anxiety grow. I stood frozen, not knowing what was going on, but knowing that whatever it was going to change everything. Can I help you? Emma asked cautiously. There was a pause before a voice responded, but it wasn't one I recognized. I'm looking for Jason, the voice said, firm and direct. My blood ran cold. I held my breath, waiting for Emma's response. If this was someone from my past, someone who knew me as Jason, then everything would come crashing down. I could feel the walls closing in, and I wanted nothing more than to hide, to vanish from this moment. But I couldn't. I was already standing on the edge, and I didn't know if I was ready to jump. Jason isn't available right now, Emma replied, her tone cool but controlled. Can I help you with something? There was a long pause, and then the voice spoke again, this time more urgent. I need to talk to him. It's important. Tell him it's about his transformation. I felt my stomach drop. My heart pounded in my chest as if it were trying to break free. How did they know? The words, his transformation, echoed in my mind like a warning bell. Had someone discovered me? Had someone been watching all along, waiting for the right moment to confront me? Emma's gaze shifted to me, and I saw the flicker of recognition in her eyes. She wasn't just asking to protect me anymore. She was involved now, in ways I hadn't expected. She was in the middle of this secret with me. But was that enough? Would she stand by me when the truth was finally exposed? I didn't know what would happen next. I didn't know if I could take another step forward. All I knew was that the world I had carefully constructed for myself was about to shatter, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. The door remained ajar, and the stranger on the other side was waiting. For me. For the truth. For the moment when everything would be laid bare.